Yeah, hi guys, this is Pradeep Shrivastava. Welcome to my channel. Thank you very much for the overwhelming response I've been getting for the earlier videos. Keep liking it, keep subscribing. It motivates me. See, today we are going to discuss about a very interesting topic, which is the airlines. In fact, it is not only interesting; it is also glamorous. The reason why I want to discuss this is, of late, you all must have read in the news that on 2nd of May, GoAir, filed their bankruptcy in the NCLT courts. So this was a big jolt to the industry. The passenger traffic.
India's aviation sector is back in the news. Another airline has hit turbulence. You must have seen headlines talk about Go First. It's a budget carrier. Earlier it was known as GoAir. This airline has filed for bankruptcy, the second such case in 4 years, the second Indian airline to declare bankruptcy in 4 years. The first one was Jet Airways. It filed for bankruptcy in 2019, and Jet was a leading Indian airline.
Was picking up. The tourism season is in place. It's starting, and suddenly you hear this, and it was a bigger surprise because sorry. It was a bigger surprise because just a few years before, in 2019, Jet Airways also filed their bankruptcy. So
the NCLT has reserved its orders on a plea filed by cash-strapped airline Go First. The airline is filed for bankruptcy protection and is seeking protection under an interim moratorium. Aircraft lessors to Go First rejected the petition, arguing that a moratorium will stop third parties from enforcing their contractual rights. Meanwhile, Go First has also cancelled flights till the 9th of May. Aviation regulator DGC has ordered a full refund to all passengers. The CEO of Go First spoke to CNBC TV 18 yesterday and said that bookings have been suspended from the 6th of May to the 15th of May. Go First blames its engine
GoAir, probably owns about 65.21 billion rupees in the marketplace to the financial creditors, which tantamounts to about $798 billion as per the NCLT filing. Out of which 12.02 billion rupees is for the vendors and about 26.6 billion rupees is to the aircraft lessors. So that is the kind of money involved. So it is a big loss. And as per the RBI, the total loan taken by all the airlines till March 2023 is 28,330 crores. So imagine the gigantic, figure of the loans which is there in the marketplace. And, the banks will lose about 5,800 crores just because of GoAir. That is the kind of effect it will have on in the marketplace. GoAir has been blaming Pratt and Whitney for supplying faulty engines and not supplying in time, whereas Pratt and Whitney is a US based aircraft engine manufacturer which supplies to the airlines who are flying the Airbus series of aircrafts. As per Pratt and Whitney, they were not getting the dues well in time, month over month, and probably that must be the reason. Anyways, the idea is that now GoAir has filed the bankruptcy and it is already closed. So this is a little surprising. So just to give you a little more perspective on this, GoAir was flying about 6 flights to Delhi, Srinagar and Mumbai Goa routes out of the total 30 flights by all the airlines. They were flying 6 of the aircrafts to Delhi Mumbai route out of the 52 flights which fly every day from all the airlines. They were flying 5 to Delhi Leh out of the 13 flights which were flying to all the airlines, and 3 out of 10 to Delhi Bagdogra. So imagine all these flights have gone cancelled in the peak summer season when it is a tourism time. It is very, very sad to see that Kingfisher just closed down, then after that Jet Airways closed down, and then now GoAir. As per the Travel Agents Association, they say that they lost crores of rupees when Kingfisher closed down, they lost crores of rupees when Jet Airways closed down, and now the same situation here. So that is the situation in the entire place. And the RBI says, no, not the RBI, the CAPA, which is the Aviation Consulting Institute, company which says that about there is a consolidated loss of about 1.6 to 1.8 billion dollars, which is estimated in the year 23-24 financial year, right? So imagine the kind of money involved in the entire thing. So why it is a little worrisome is because of the statistics which I'm going to give you now. If you study the last 2 decades, the last 20 years, you will find about 12 airlines of India getting closed because of XYZ reasons, and this is very, very surprising, which essentially means that about an airline is getting closed in 2.5 years every time, so frequently, and that is why it is worrying. So now I thought, because of these things happening, why not dwell upon 2 important points. The first point is, what are the factors leading to an airline closure or bankruptcy? And the second one is, what is the impact to the economy of the country? So let us jump to the first point. So the factors which lead to fall of an airline is basically, the first factor is the fuel, the air turbine fuel. We all know the air turbine fuel is a major chunk of the operating cost of any.
After a massive hike, few airlines are imploring the government to put aviation fuel under GST. Indigo and SpiceJet have backed this demand. Meanwhile, Vistara has said that they hope the resumption of regular international flights from the 27th of March will help manage the price.
Aviation, yeah, and air turbine fuel has always been volatile, and it is dependent on various factors, right from geopolitical situations to war to OPEC body meetings, government challenges, and etc. So this has always been volatile. Unfortunately, the last couple of months, the air turbine fuel has come down, but touch wood, if it remains so, it is good for the airline. But most importantly, what is important is in India there is a VAT which is charged on the ATF by all the states, and you won't believe that there are few states who charge as much as 30%, rather more than 30%. So that's why when Jyoti Rajesh Scindia became the aviation minister, he wrote a letter to 22 chief ministers, requesting them for support. So that is the kind of effect. So this is on the air turbine fuel. The second important cost factor which contributes a majority of the operating cost to the airline is the dollars. See, when you talk about an airline, most of the expenses which they do, right from the jet fuel to lease payments to maintenance costs to buying an aircraft, etc., are all in dollars. So if the dollar appreciates, there is a dent to the bottom line. If the rupee depreciates, there is a dent to the bottom line. So dollar, we all know, has been going up and up, and it's always a worry for the airline because the operating cost goes up. The third important point is that the demand fluctuates very now and then. So the demand elasticity is a major challenge for the aviation business. Okay, and it is very sensitive to business cycles. So if the demand goes up and if there is lesser aircraft, if the airline has to take an aircraft, it has to pay in dollars, and it is a huge cost. If the demand is less and it has to maintain the aircraft, whatever it has to pay a huge cost. So airplanes are a huge fixed cost to the airline. Either ways, this fixed cost is a big chunk of the operating cost, which cannot be changed, and hence demand and supply plays an important thing to the airline. The fourth important thing is the government factor. Why the government factor? The reason why I'm saying government factor is in India, basically the airlines are regulated by the government, and if the decisions from the government in terms of policies or any other thing is not very, very favorable to the airline, it may get affected. Yeah, and the airlines can't do anything about it. And similarly, at times the airfares are regulated by the government. So if the airfares are regulated, what can an airline do? It will fly. It may be making profits, it may be making losses, but it will continue to fly. And the last important thing, the factor which affects these kind of eventualities is the low profits. Most of the airlines, they work on low profits. Rather, it will be correct to say that they work on losses. So as per the ICRA, the ratings, the airline industry is supposed to be, post estimated loss of, 130 billion by April, must have posted by March 2023. Yeah. So the airlines are already working on low profits or are working on losses. So if there is any problem in the strategy or the planning or any other things happen which is beyond control, the airlines will only bleed. And when airlines, believe you me, when airlines bleed, they actually bleed, and hence they have they have many reasons to probably close down or get into bankruptcy mode. So that's what is important to know. And unfortunately, most of these things are not in the control of the airline, and it is highly dependent on the good days and the bad days. So let's come to the second important point. How does it impact the economy? One of my good friends asked, okay, one airline has gone, one airline has gone. So what makes the difference? So let me tell you the difference. I'll only touch upon the major factors. The first thing which happens is job losses. There's a huge job loss when an airline gets closed. And there are direct job losses and indirect job losses. Let me give you a little example. When Kingfisher closed down, there was a loss of 5,000 employees, 5,000 job losses. I'm talking only about the direct, not the third party. And then when Jet Airways closed down, there was a loss of 20,000, job losses. Imagine, even when GoAir will close down, you can understand the kind of loss which will happen to GoAir. So this ultimately affects the economy because the people who lose the job do not get jobs so easily. It is a small world. The second thing which happens is decrease in tourism. The decrease in tourism eventually affects the economy. See, we all know that the tourism is a big booster to the economic growth of any country, and if the tourism go down, it affects. It not only affects the country, but it also affects the regional development of the tourist places. And the tourist places, the livelihood is because of tourism. The third thing which happens is, a decrease in the corporate business travel. Why corporate business travel? The corporate business travel is part of the game because businesses have to be brought in, and there are travels which happens by the senior corporates to meet customers, to meet the prospective vendors, and probably negotiate with prospective business. So if this happens, the most of the companies would defer their plans. They would park the idea of business travel, and ultimately the business is affected, which indirectly affects the economy. The fourth thing which happens is the financial loss of suppliers. See, to an airline, there are a lot of ancillary companies which are doing a lot of supplies, right from aircraft manufacturers to maintenance providers to fuel suppliers to the ground handling equipments and to the catering services. So there are many of them. So they all suffer huge losses, which ultimately is a dent to the economy. Next important point is the national infrastructure. We all know the better the national infrastructure, the better the development of national infrastructure, the better the economy, because that is what acts as a catalyst to the economic growth. And if an airline gets closed, there is a loss of infrastructure because the aircraft goes down. So if an airline has 100 aircraft, the 100 aircraft are not flying. So the loss of terminals. So the impact of national infrastructure is key. And then you have an interesting thing, which is the impact of logistic cost. Why is this so important? Important because business happens when the products and the move from place A to place B, and part of the transportation happens by air, which is in double digits. So if the aircraft gets closed down, there is a loss of capacity. If there is a loss of capacity, there is an increase in the yield, or increase in the cost. And if there is an increase in the cost, it is passed to the customer, and the customer passes it to the consumer, and ultimately it results in low transactions, less transactions, and less business. And the last important point is foreign investments. See, the FII investors all across the country, all across the world, are looking to invest in India. They do their research, and then that is how they invest in India. And if somebody sees the data of about 10 to 12 airlines getting closed in 20 years, it will deter them to invest. They'll get dizzy to invest, and that becomes a roadblock to the entire thing. So these factors are affecting the economic growth of the country. And I thought it is important to bring this to the notice of all of us, so that we understand airlines closure is just not a news. It is a dent to the economy. It is a dent to the people of the country. Yeah, I'm sure you must have liked the video. If you have liked, please do like the like button, and please do give us suggestions, so that I can bring out very interesting topics in the near future. Thank you very much.